in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when you talking about the Black Wall Street, they didn't have no army. And that's why they ain't got that shit that they had. They ain't got it no more. You know what I mean? And like I said, half a day. See, it's not about. It's just like my uncle one time. He was telling me about the difference between the violent revolution and peaceful protest revolution. And you know, like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. And he kept on, and what he was, the reason he was talking about that, what we were talking about was a movie he seen about Gandhi. Now, of course, Martin Luther King took after Gandhi. But when you deal with Gandhi was having peaceful protests, non-violent revolution against the government. Listen, so my uncle was saying that because he was quoting from the Bible when Peter cut the servant of the high priest's ear. And he said, and Jesus said, those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. So in other words, he's saying, my uncle was implying that if you go with the violent revolution, then you know you're going to die by the sword. Which must mean that he's trying to say that the right way to do it is with non-violence, because that way you ain't going to die. Even though this nigga, in the same breath, he was telling me, because like I said, we was talking about Gandhi, and in the same motherfucking breath, he had just got finished telling me about one particular incident where Gandhi got some people together and they had a peaceful protest, and the British killed like 300 niggas. Killed like 300 of them niggas, slaughtered them niggas, and they sitting in there having a peaceful protest, and the British went in there and just slaughtered some niggas. And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm trying to figure out how this nigga just sit here and tell me that shit. And it's like he just forgot. No, motherfucker, you just told me about some peaceful shit that they did, and they still got killed. You're not getting killed because you're doing it violently or passively. The reason you're getting killed is because you're a threat. However you buck up, they gonna respond with force. You see what I'm saying? And your ass, it's just like Malcolm said. Them people in Algeria, they didn't get their independence by having no marches, by voting, and by having no motherfucking sit-ins. They got their independence by taking up guns and running the British the fuck up out of their motherfucking country. That's what they did. And that's how they got their independence. Why you ain't got no independence right now, nigga? Why is you still talking about, well, Condoleezza was a black Secretary of State, Halle Berry won an Oscar, Obama's president, we getting there. Why you still talking about you getting there? Other motherfuckers ain't trying to have no, the Asians, the Koreans ain't trying to have no Asian president. They don't give a fuck about that shit. They got their shit together. They run your ass. They can come into your hood and economically take that shit over and have you giving them all your motherfucking money. Now, what I want to say here is that you got the niggas. Now, the niggas that say they always quoting the Bible and how Paul said you got to obey the powers that be. Now, the scripture, common sense ought to tell you, if the government is wrong, why the fuck now these are the same niggas that say don't trust man, trust God. Now you're going to turn around and tell me obey the ordinance of man. So now, if the Roman Empire was persecuting, and I ain't going to go too deep into this. I'm going to say this. If the Roman Empire was persecuting Christians, supposedly, and they did this for the course of 300 years, why the fuck you think they did that? Common sense would tell you because these people that they was killing off was a threat. This was a movement that was a threat that was bucking up and challenging the government. So now all of a sudden Constantine come along and this new all these manuscripts show up of these people that were supposed to be being hunted down to the death, but they got these manuscripts in condition, thousands of manuscripts existing, and saying that, and you mean to tell me you stupid motherfuckers actually believe that these same people, when Stephen got killed by the government, when Jesus got killed by the government, but the same motherfuckers, you believe that they taught to obey the ordinance of man. And then the scripture said, when the righteous bear rule, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. Which means that there's a time when the wicked bear rule. What type of righteous God would tell you obey a wicked government and then in the same breath give you a book and say don't sin? That don't make no sense. You got to understand that shit out here is corrupted, nigga. That's just a motherfucking facts. And if you can't get with that, nigga, I say fuck your stupid ass. Because you letting this bullshit stay on your ass and prevent you. You trying to quote some shit and you can't prove to me who the fuck wrote it. I understand the history of scripture. I understand the movements. I know who the fuck I am. But how the fuck you go tell? So you know the Gospel of Thomas, y'all don't accept that. So what the fuck? How do you distinguish when you didn't write it and you didn't know half this shit existed until some motherfuckers found it? You gonna tell me what's ordained scripture and what ain't? That's enough off that subject. Back to the Black Wall Street thing. Now, what's amazing to me about the nigga that be quoting that is as far as these church niggas, is you got a nigga like Sammy Holloway. This nigga, he talking about, he always talking about America is righteous and shit. How the fuck was America founded? Supposedly, according to what they teach us in history. By the colonists rebelling against the British government. So it was founded on rebelling against the motherfucking power that be. Now, why come when they do it, it's all good, but when we do it, it's wicked? Because you hate your motherfucking self. And that's just plain simple. That's all it is to it. Now, in terms of the niggas in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Black Wall Street, all that shit they had, I done said it before, we ain't go over it again. All that shit they had, the next day they ain't even had it. And what niggas got now? And remember, the Great Depression, when you look at 1921 to 1929, that's 8 years. If niggas could have had shit popping at that time when the devil shit fell off, that would have been some nice shit right there. But it wasn't. Why? Because them niggas didn't have no army. Don't matter what you got. The devil see you doing something, he don't want you to do it. So he gonna try to stop you from doing it. He gonna try to come in there, burn your city down. He gonna come in there, dropping bombs on your city, like he did them niggas. And yet niggas today so stupid. Oh no, well you can't blame the devil. And yet that's what the devil did. Why? Because you ain't had no army. You didn't understand that the white man was the devil. You don't understand who your enemy is. So you think you so goddamn stupid, you really think you finna sit here and live side by side with these motherfuckers. And that they gonna let you peacefully go get you some money, build up all this shit that's better than theirs, and gain you some motherfucking power. You got to be out your motherfucking mind. Y'all some seriously ridiculous ass niggas. And that, you know, I'm out with that. I'm gone.